Hello, and welcome back to the Four Horsemen. It's just now you see me. Sorry, I said the Four Horsemen. Now I'm looking at the note. The we're on part 7 of Now You See Me. So they have now been brought in as they were preparing to leave out for their next location, and just before they left, they were pulled in. And it's funny that Henley's character had on burglar gloves when they came to arrest them, and her entire outfit looked like she just got through robbing a bank, which was hilarious. So they are now being brought in to the they're being brought in to be interrogated. So while they are being questioned, they know that the police don't have anything on them to any level nor degree that they could truly be held for anything specific. When God is in control of a situation, hear me and hear me well, that your enemies can pull you in and attempt to persecute you. Ask me how I know. I've been put into situations and scenarios where I've had accusations put against me. I've had people come at me left, right, and sideways with levels of accusation. But because God was in control of the situation, when I brought it to Him in a level of severity of prayer, let me tell you something that happened. God would bring a level of authority to come forth in that situation when the accusation was being brought. That level of authority, person, the situation within itself, and the legal acumen of that scenario, that a higher level of authority, higher than the one that was trying to accuse me, would let me go. When God is in control of a situation, His children can be put into scenarios when He set this thing up. Not when you operate on your own strength or your own capabilities. But when God put this in His order for His ordinance and His glory, just like these four were brought in, they knew they couldn't be held. When you are operating under the authority and in the ordinance and were given God's go ahead to do something, it don't matter if the National Guard comes after your behind. If you remember that God is in control and you stand in that. For it says, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord in Exodus. I believe it's 13:14 or 14:14. Stand still. That even in the midst of it, I can't tell you how many times I ended up in scenarios where the situation looked bad for me and they let me go. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, 5 times, 6 times. Looked bad for me. And I was in there like, God, why you got me in this situation? Just came back from church. Somebody accused me of something. Been in church. Somebody came into my church, accused me of something. I'm like, what the heck is this? But the devil is the accuser of the brethren. They couldn't even hold the guy that supposedly robbed the bank because he was the French guy that went into the vault and then dropped the card into the bank vault. They couldn't even hold him accountable to it. Why? Why did they not hold him accountable? Because of the fact that he was triggered by the hypnotic word that was given to him when Merritt pulled him on the stage, tapped his chest, and then pulled him close to him. He gave him a trigger word. This is what I was going to say. When a person and or individual is triggered spiritually, this is something that the military has been doing for years. Follow. The military has literally been using sleeper agents. Go watch the movie The Manchurian Candidate. In it, it talks about how sleeper agents have been used. Now, I could go into some deeper things, but I'm not being... Oh, you want me to go over there? I'm not being given permission to go into that. I'm not feeling that that's where he wants me to go with this. I think he wants me to stay right here. But a trigger can be used. It can be used for... You see this happen in multiple different scenarios, and because of the fact that the Lord ain't letting me go over there, I don't want to divert. So I'm gonna stay here. So this guy was triggered and he started playing a violin, an invisible violin. When the cop said the word bull, S astrogati. So I already explained about the sleeper agent. And we can go into the fact that the madman spirit can take over an individual where the natural man is put into a deep sleep, but the spirit takes full control of the body. When I say a sleeper agent, this can be done for the good of God, or this can be done by the enemy. They have been now taken over by an individual, or the individual itself has been taken over by a spirit. Think about any of the spirits that we have talked about, from Leviathan to Jezebel to any of these things. They are operating in these spirits. And how you know that they have been taken over and the original person's spirit has been put to sleep is that if you pray as an individual that prays, I know this, that when you pray for an individual that has been taken over by this type of spirit, they will literally go to sleep. The human being will go to sleep and they will wake up and no longer have that spirit that was trying to gain or have access to them. It will be gone. But they will go to sleep as long as that spirit is trying to maintain control or gain control over their body. So when that spirit is trying to gain control over their body, they will act out in the same characteristics of that spirit. But if you pray, you can pray against that spirit from having full control, and the person will literally go to sleep. Seen it, experienced it. And as I said, you can look at the film Manchurian Candidate. Danny, he's sitting in the interrogation, and this is something that he says to them to let them know. And I'm going to dissect this while I'm sitting here, and this is probably going to be the end of this video. He gives them a warning. Let me warn you. God is not playing in this season, okay? He has given the people that are not operating in a godly manner Warning after warning after warning after warning after warning, and they have not listened. They have not paid attention. And some of them have paid attention, and they are scrambling in this hour because they see the writing on the wall, and they know something about to go down, and God ain't playing. God is in a level of control that he wants them to do what they think that they can do. Because no matter what these people in these high level position, exalted places, and operating in powers, I don't care if they're politics, celebrity, industry, I don't care where they are. God's like, please pay close attention. You have no control in this situation. It may look like you have control. Pharaoh looked like he had control right up until the point that he got drowned in the water, didn't it? He thought sure he was gonna catch them Israelites. It's like, oh, y'all at the water. I'm right behind you. I got my full army. Ha ha! That Red Sea split when Moses hit that staff to the ground. They went across, and who got drowned? Moses. I mean, not Moses, Pharaoh. Who got drowned? Pharaoh. Whose people got drowned? The Egyptians. Because no matter what they think, you might know, we will always be one step ahead of you. God has children of God in places, in spaces that it looks like they aren't children of God. There are people that are assumed to be of the enemy's camp, and they literally were positioned there either to assist the children of God when God says move. They will be the ones that even the children of God don't know that they're the ones that are supposed to help them. Because if I've ever heard it before, I'm going to say it to you right now. When God wants to bless you, he sends a person. When the enemy wants to destroy you, he sends an individual. God has people placed in places that look like most unusual resources that will be beneficial blessings to the children of God in this season, and the enemy will not know what to do because they look like they wanted them. Some of them have been literally sitting amongst the enemy's camp, gathering intel for God's people. Think about the moment in, is it 1st or 2nd Kings, where I believe there was a military person from the enemy's camp that David and his men found this individual. He had been starving for 3 days straight, and he had been heavily wounded. David and his team bandaged this young man up, and the man said, I'll tell you exactly where they are. God got people like that in position. They look like they belong to the enemy. And they are going to bless the children of God at appointed times. And the children of God don't even know who these individuals are. They will only know when it's necessary in the time frame for them to know. Because God is always 1 step ahead of the enemy. 3 steps, 7 steps, depending on who it is he's trying to be ahead of in that season. And when the enemy thinks that he's caught up, that he's figured out God's plan. Because let me tell you something about the enemy. The enemy only knows what he can see. He can send his minions, monitoring spirits, and people that operating under monitoring spirits, operating under witchcraft, thinking that they chakra tapping, thinking that they going into people's minds and mind tapping and all kinds of stupid foolery. And he still ain't gonna find out. Because it's not like God sitting up there saying, I got one person I'm using. Remember in don't make me lie about the book that Elijah was in. When Elijah went and hid under the tree, and God said, I got 7,000 other prophets beside you. Elijah didn't know that. Elijah didn't need to know that because he was the one that was being used at the time. God's got his people operating all over this world, all over this situation. He's got them in high offices. He's got them in low offices. He's got them in isolation. He's got them at the point in time that there's a trigger point that he wants to use them. He will activate them because all the world waits for the sons of God. And nobody knows exactly who. But as soon as their assignment is legitimized, there are people in high places that have been positioned themselves and already did their assignment. At the appointed time, they're going to tap the next person. They're going to pass the baton. Because why? Just like it says in this, that when they think that they caught up, when the enemy thinks he done caught up with God's idea and his plan, even right now he thinks he got him. He thinks he knows what God's going to do. He thinks he's got a level of control. He does not. Because when he thinks that he does, God and his people will be right behind them. And at no time will the enemy ever be anywhere but where God wants him to be. Exactly where he wants him to be. So they can sit up and try to monitor and get close to and figure out what plan is, what God's structure is, read the Bible back, front, and sideways. Go watch the movie, The Book of Eli. They tried to sit there and figure out the plans. But only one man carried the word. So they'll get as close as they think that they can. They can try to figure it out. Get all over the children of God. Try to operate in letting the level of fear, anxiety, bring all kinds of Jezebelic and Leviathan spirits before the children of God. But you know what? It won't matter. Because the closer they get, they can get up all on the children of God. The one that they think that they got, God got 7,000 more. That is fully ready and pre-positioned. Because the closer they think,